In the year 1997, the future is in chaos and turmoil. Mankind is on the brink of extinction. Brave survivors band together and build a time displacement apparatus to receive a signal from a parallel future. This transmission is the Wundercast.
There's one team that kicks ass. They're assembled. They're the Wundercast. Never back down from the brass. Always start first. Never finish last. Had Moxley, been too fast. Oh no, they're out of gas. It's okay there. Just a podcast. They're the greatest. We're the Wundercast.
Welcome to the Wundercast, the official podcast of Wunderblog.com, the home of continuing AEW coverage. Wunderblog.com and the Wundercast are all elite and too sweet. Ooh, yeah. I am your host, Steven, the inventor of the Trials of Trivia,
Whoa.
the inventor of podcasting, fuck them.
Yeah,
Who knows who did it?
right. Take
No one
credit.
knows. I'm going to take credit for it. What if I invented it? Clearly, I didn't invent podcasting, but I am trying to take us through it. I'm your host, Steven, and with me today is our podcast champion. We put them up against Kenny Omega, belt for belt, and Kenny would be laying flat on the ground beneath their championship gold.
Taking a 3-second nap.
D-Rock, podcast champion.
Woo! It's too bad I mounted my my world heavyweight championship. I could hold it up.
I think you have to create, the angle, the zoom angle where it's featured,
Right there.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that should be your intro shot. It starts on the belt and then slowly zooms down.
Whoa, that's a director's eye right there.
Watch out. So D-Rock is here to lead us through all of our AEW coverage, and we have been slacking.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's been hectic for me work-wise on the work front. And also, my mind has been busy with wrestling on the video game front.
Oh, that's right.
Right before the Friday right before Double or Nothing, I was so hankering for some wrestling that I was let me look in the App Store, and I see a free game called 80s Mania Wrestling Returns, and you can play from 1980 to 1999, and so far I've played my way through the 80s, and now I'm in 1991, and I've had my champion / master has defied his own statistics, and I shouldn't be able to use him in the 90s, but because he holds championship belts, I can still use him.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a really cool game. I downloaded it too. You can you basically book each month of your wrestling federation. So you have 4 shows and then a main, or 3 shows and then a big main pay-per-view show, and you try to book heels against baby faces, and you try to book segments that people are gonna like. You can book a sneak attack or a wrestler brag, promo, and a bunch of different matches. It's really cool.
And then all the characters are kind of loosely based on movies or video games or pop culture.
Well,
So
a lot of them are based on wrestlers, like the Rock and Roll Express is
the Neon
the
Express.
Neon Express, and there's a couple other.
They have
I
a
can't-
Ric Flair character who I still haven't gotten, who his name is Jet Set Strutter.
Yeah, nice. And they have some managers and gimmicks and stuff. It's fun.
It's a fun game. And that gets me excited for the new All Elite Wrestling Elite General Manager game, which should be very similar.
Oh, nice. I hadn't heard
Currently,
about that. I heard about the video game, like the full-on video game, which is apparently causing them to still be operating in the red, which, you know, everybody's kind of freaking out about, but it's like, this is a 2-year-old company. Of course, they're operating in the red. So, whatever.
I think they're planting a lot of seeds. So it's
Well, and also, like, a pandemic happened, you know, like,
yeah, for sure. That was not in their
not
in their business
planning.
plan.
Not at all, no.
But what is in our business plan is to deliver quadruple or nothing.
Quadruple or nothing, yes.
Because we have like there's been almost a month of Friday Night Dynamites.
I think there's been 3 Dynamites since Double or Nothing that we're going to attempt to broadly cover.
Which Friday night at 10 o'clock at night,
Yeah,
I start falling asleep at
right.
9:40. So already we're working on a deficit here.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a death slot a little bit because like most people, you know, well, I don't know, maybe not nowadays, but I think still probably a lot of people work Monday through Friday, and then on Friday they either go out at night or they pass the fuck out because they're so exhausted from work. So yeah, Fridays at 10 p.m. are not ideal, and it's really interesting to see how it does when it's in this spot permanently for just an hour.
I think at just an hour it'll be a lot better.
I mean, the first hour has been doing a lot better. I mean, I think even before they started doing it on Fridays at 10, but now like the first hour does way better. So maybe if it's just an hour, it'll be more manageable.
And part of me, you know, I don't understand why they are afraid to compete with SmackDown. But I think it's dumb when like they have Ready Player One on, they have like some like 5-year-old movie on.
Yeah, right.
But you know, you got new wrestling. Put on the new wrestling. Come on,
Right.
10 o'clock on Friday.
Yeah, I mean,
How is that not better for your brand?
like, I get it on one sense. Like, SmackDown is this very established brand, and you know, I just don't know. I'm not sure they're calculating correctly how many of their fans, how many people that watch Dynamite would be watching SmackDown if it was on at the same time. You know, I feel like most AEW fans like don't watch WWE ever. You know, they watch this specifically because they've been waiting for an alternative, and they've been stuck with WWE for so many years. So I don't know.
And I would think that being on an earlier time slot on a Friday night would bode better for your numbers.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you're head to head with SmackDown.
They went head to head with NXT, which like is a show that appeals much more to their demographic, and beat NXT consistently. So why do they think they can't compete with SmackDown, which is definitely not their same demographic? Like, I mean, it's a little bit. I mean, it's still wrestling, but you know, barely in the case of SmackDown.
I can understand if maybe their aim is like we're trying to attract like that late night Adult Swim crowd. Okay,
Yeah.
I can understand
Especially on a Friday, because that's like, yeah.
And they did that bull rope match, so they have done a little bit more intense stuff with the later time slots.
Right.
So maybe that's something they want to do too. So maybe
Yeah.
that's something to take into consideration. But let's get into Double or Nothing.
Let's
What a
do.
delicious pay-per-view it was.
It was honestly like, I don't know. I don't know if our loyal listeners are familiar with my tendency to overreact to things, but that's kind of my whole thing. Is I have a tendency to speak in hyperbole a little bit and overreact to certain things. But in watching, like, at least in the moment, I mean, I still feel like this was one of the best top to bottom pay-per-views I have ever seen. Like, every single match at least did its job, and there were like several match of the year candidates. There were even more matches that were like really good, if not, quite match of the year caliber. This was a great show. This was a great show, top to bottom, and I'm excited to break it down.
This Double or Nothing, it really gave me the vibe of days gone by of gathering together to watch WrestleMania
Mm-hmm.
and like seeing the spectacle. I think there's definitely a huge bonus was the crowd.
Yeah.
And the fact that like their first big full crowd got to be, at Double or Nothing and only used once before for Friday Night Dynamite.
Right.
Dynamite before, which also led into the hype for Double or Nothing, was having that Friday right before.
That was really cool. Yeah.
That was really cool hype. And the announcers even said it. They said, like, this is going to be a new tradition now once Rampage starts, that we'll always have a Friday night show before these pay-per-views.
Did they? I didn't catch that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
very cool.
That feels definitely coming back. So
yeah.
I think that like the first Double or Nothing, there was so much unknown as to what you were going to get,
Well, the first Double or Nothing was the first AEW pay-per-view. It was the follow-up to All In, but All In wasn't an AEW event. It was like a, they built it as like the world's biggest indie show, basically, and that was kind of a jumping off point, and then AEW kind of jumped off from there, and Double or Nothing was the first official show. And that was a show with Cody versus Dustin, which was like one of the best matches I've ever seen. And a lot of really good stuff. They had those awesome Road 2 videos leading up to it. So that was a cool time.
And this Double or Nothing definitely feels like a culmination since then.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, all the characters feel so much more developed.
Definitely.
There's this weight behind every interaction now. The first match was, are we gonna go with the buy-in?
Yeah, we better cover it because I have right here in my notes under Serena Deeb versus Riho. The first thing I have here is put it on the fucking show, because I was not very happy that they stuck this on the buy-in, but
it was for the NWA championship.
It was for the NWA Women's Championship. This is a championship match. It should be on the show. I can think of at least like 3 other matches that I would rather have put on the buy-in, but I won't dwell too much on it because this match fucking ruled.
It was a fantastic match, and I think that match was the opportunity to cross promote with NWA, so it makes sense to me that it's a free match. Okay. That way NWA can get the shine off it too.
I get that.
Riho fought fantastically.
Yeah, man.
She
was like all jet lag too, right? She had like just flown in from Japan or something like that.
Something like that.
Was that this match? Maybe I'm remembering a different match.
I know she's not in the contender race right now for the women's title.
Right.
But I would love to see her versus the champ.
Yeah, that would be dope. That would be definitely. So yeah, I mean this match, I predicted going in that this match would steal the show, and it probably would have, except there were like 3 or 4 other matches that were like match of the year candidates. So one of them was the next match. Hangman Page versus Brian Cage was so good. I was amazed. I looked on the Wikipedia page, and this match was 12 minutes long. I couldn't believe that they only went for 12 minutes. What these guys did with 12 minutes is like, young wrestlers take notes, because you don't need to do 20, 30, 40 minutes to have a fucking match of the year candidate. They did it in 12.
I am shocked. I would have bet money that was 25 minutes.
Right?
That's insane.
Right? They packed so much into that match. It was so good. It was so
That's
good.
insane.
And
Brian Cage's his outfit, his introduction,
yeah.
Hangman Page in front of a full AEW crowd celebrating him. The whole build to this match I thought was really well done with Team Taz and Hangman. Even the parts with Team Taz that felt, uncertain and like a little rocky, I think have ultimately worked to the advantage of the way this storyline is playing out. And it's still slowly progressing. It's amazing too, after, we remember on Dynamite there was that basically a squash match where Brian Cage, just took Hangman Page out of the #1 contender spot and just kicked his ass.
We were all really
on a bad day.
We were all really shocked by that.
And that only made this match better.
I remember thinking, like, that's fucking great booking, because Hangman was the #1, he was #1 ranked, and Brian Cage hadn't really done much in a while, and this is like it kills 2 birds with 1 stone almost. Like, you figure out a way to have to delay the Hangman Page Kenny Omega program that you're obviously planning eventually, because Hangman is probably the most over guy in the whole company, other than maybe Orange Cassidy, but those 2 guys are like neck and neck right now, it seems like. You find a way to delay that until you build it up enough, and also figure out a way to make Brian Cage look like the threat that he should be. He should be able to fucking destroy Hangman Page, not every time, but like he should be able to go out there once and just eat his fucking lunch. And it was great. It was one of my favorite squash matches. The best one I've seen since Brody Lee won the TNT championship. I remember thinking how great that booking was too, because the whole story was Cody was defending the belt week after week after week after week, and every time he would like barely escape. And we were all like, this has to be leading to something. Like, he can't just keep winning. He's getting hurt. He has like a shoulder thing. There has to be something. And then Brody Lee just fucking destroyed him. He sent him out on a stretcher, and it was such great booking. And that's kind of how I felt about this. Was like, it solves so many problems with one very short match. I loved it. And it added so much to this match too, because, Hangman's got that, got to get that win back and got to earn some respect back. Plus you have the whole angle of, Brian Cage is kind of, there's some dissension in Team Taz. And then you have Hangman Page with like the brilliant psychological move of being like, oh, you need all those guys just to beat me? Look at you, man. You shouldn't need all these guys. Why don't you come out by yourself? And so I kind of, based on that, I was thinking like, I bet they are gonna they'll stay back and then they'll come out later and accidentally cost him the match because he's mad at them for interfering, and that's exactly what happened. It was great.
It was great freaking booking. And part of the thing that made it great too was Taz on the commentary, and
Oh, yeah.
Taz like saying things that Brian Cage should do, and the commentators being like, maybe you should be down there telling him that. And he's like, no, I'm here. It's fine. He'll get it. And I'm curious to see how that storyline keeps unraveling. They're limited with what they can do because of the injury on Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
So I want to see. I hope they like do Will Hobbs versus Brian Cage for the FTW belt or something.
Well, and then I can't remember which one of the last 3 Dynamites this was on, but we got Ricky Starks slap Brian Cage across the face. Didn't he?
That was a wicked slap. It was very loud.
Yeah, and then ran away. It was great. So it should be if they're pulling the trigger on just that, segment already, like clearly, like there's a near future, something they're planning for there. So maybe Ricky Starks is pretty close to being cleared, which would be great.
Do you think Brian Cage is gonna go babyface for the company?
I could see him like. I don't know if they would full on turn him babyface. Leaving Team Taz will make him a little bit of a like natural baby face while it's happening, but he works so much better as a he works as a face too, I guess. And they do have a pretty good amount of good heels.
Well, the thing is, the heels are on top right now.
Yeah.
So you kind of need more baby faces to work off Miro and Kenny.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, Cage versus Miro would be unreal. Cage versus Kenny. I mean, I think we've gotten that once before, but no, we got Cage versus Mox, but I don't think we've gotten Cage versus Kenny. So that would be a great matchup too. So yeah, it does make sense that he would, at least for a while, have a little babyface run. And
Hangman still has the Dark Order. Dark Order's only making friends and making enemies. That's it.
Yeah, right. And we got Hang 10. They got Hang 10. We got Hangman and 10 tag team. Who did they face? I can't remember right now.
I do not remember.
They won. I know that. I can't remember who exactly it was. We're professionals here. We do our research. We're good. We got this. But that was fun. There's a little graphic that Steven showed me the other day where it says Hang 10, which I think would be a great name.
A great tag team name. Yeah.
Would be great.
I also love that moment too because they win and then everyone's drinking beer except for -1 and Colt Cabana, who are drinking water bottles.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And having cheers with the water bottles.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Little known fact: it's actually bad luck to toast with water.
Yeah, but not to celebrate wins.
Oh yeah, sure, of course. So next up, we have what I felt was probably the match of the night, which was the Young Bucks versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston.
Whoa, you love to give the Young Bucks their due.
I hate the Young Bucks. Like, I legit hate them, but they've been having really good matches the last couple of shows. I've just been really impressed with, they've had good competition. I mean, they had that great match against Kaz and Daniels Those guys are veterans. They've all faced each other a million times before. So they have great chemistry. They have great timing with each other. And that's always makes for an entertaining match. And this match was more story based, I felt. And that was kind of, I think part of why I love this match so much was that, like, I was just so happy for Eddie in this match. Eddie Kingston finally getting to like be on an AEW show in front of a crowd. I don't know if he was he even doing stuff before the pandemic?
No, during the pandemic was Cody's open challenge for the TNT title, and that's when Eddie came in.
Oh yeah.
Challenge for the TNT title, and he was so impressive in his debut that they signed him to a contract.
Wow.
Because they were just so blown away by his skills on the mic and in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so heartwarming to see him, getting pops from the crowd. They're chanting his name. I wanted this for him so bad. I was super emotional and super anxious by the end of this match because I kind of legit didn't know whether they might win this match. Like, I figured the Young Bucks probably would win, but I felt like there was a genuine chance that Moxley and Eddie could shock the world. And so I was a wreck. And then the ending was amazing too, where the Young Bucks like took out Moxley. And it moved me. I'll say that. It really did.
Yeah, Mox and Eddie coming through the crowd is extremely memorable.
Yeah.
And then, see, the thing is when the Young Bucks pull out all the cheating stops in like a big pay-per-view match like this, I like it. It makes sense to me. But when you're doing the spray can bit literally every week on every match you have on Dynamite, I think that it gets a little played out.
Well, most of those matches have been title matches, haven't they? So that it makes sense from that standpoint.
I get it that they're fighting for the title and it's a big deal, but I just feel like it's too repetitive every match.
That makes sense.
1 week beat them with the spray, 1 week beat them by hitting them on the head with the spray can, 1 week beat them with the camera, mix it up on me. You're cheating.
Well, in this match, they had a great false finish with the spray can. We thought that they were gonna win off of that, and they kicked out. It was a great moment. So yeah, and especially in matches like this, where like this and the Kaz Daniels match, where the crowd is so invested in the other team winning, like emotionally invested, then it's really effective because it's so incenses people that you would cheat in this like most sacred moment of like ending Kaz and Daniels' careers, or Eddie Kingston finally like getting the championship he so richly deserves. But like against like Penta and Pac, maybe leave the cold spray out of it. That makes sense.
But it was a great match.
It was.
I think the Young Bucks are definitely in their zone in this, heel.
They really are.
Mindset. So
they're so hateable. I hate them so much. Like, I've been talking to my friend about this. Like, they've found this weird sweet spot of like being able to somehow make us genuinely hate them, like shoot hate them and kayfabe hate them in ways that are like extremely effective for their characters, actually, which is great because the lead up to their heel turn was one of our least favorite things, you and me and my friend too. about like the about 2021 basically in AEW has been like the worst part of it has been the Young Bucks tweener bullshit leading up to their heel turn. So I'm glad that it's finally happened and now we can get the glory of heel Young Bucks.
And they're committed. So thank you. And
Yeah.
and I wouldn't put it like I think that it would still be good booking in the future to put the tag belts on Moxley and Kingston. I think that
Absolutely.
that's a very interesting combination, and I think that that's definitely a feather in both their caps that they richly deserve.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty much since they got together as a tag team and started feuding with the Elite. I've been wanting them to put the titles on them. They deserve it, and they obviously have amazing chemistry, including in their promos. They've been on fire in their promos as well. So I would love, and I was telling Steven just the other day, Eddie Kingston announced on his Instagram that AEW is going to be in New York City, in Queens, actually, Taz's hometown. They're going to be in Queens, New York on September 22nd for AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. And I was thinking that would be the perfect time to put the belts on Mox and Kingston. It would blow the roof off of that place.
Whoa.
So we shall see what happens there, but that would be really awesome.
What do we got next?
Well, so and then kind of moving forward from that, we got like, you know, the Bucks, when the Bucks took out Mox, and so, you know, and then after that they took out Phoenix. So then they had to have that match with Penta and Pac, which was really good, and they attacked afterwards, and Eddie came and helped them out. And then we got that great 6-man tag with Eddie and Penta and Pac, and some great confrontations between them, which were really funny.
And the return of Brandon Cutler to the ring.
The return of Brandon Cutler to get kicked in the face repeatedly, which was fantastic. And then we just saw on BTE that they took out Pac too. So now what happens? Now we got a, you know, situation where it's just it's down to Eddie and Penta.
On BTE, they're secretly paying off refs. They're taking out Pac. They're doing some major storyline stuff for the Young Bucks.
They are.
On BTE.
Yeah. I really hope they paying off the ref stuff, because everybody notices. Everybody notices every time there's an Elite match that Rick Knox is the referee. He is just awful at his job. It's so bad.
Well, I didn't even notice this before, but I've noticed now that on all of the YouTube shows, they have, like, you know, little pop-up ads that come up for BTE telling people to watch BTE. So I think it's canon. I think even though BTE is ridiculous, I think you gotta consider it canon.
Well, yeah, I mean the Wingmen got together on BTE. Now they're on Dynamite. So I think they're kind of slowly phasing in the idea of it being canon, and then eventually it will be like full on part of the show on some level. It'll still be, you know, sort of weird alternate universe-ish kind of stuff, but I think it will be considered, you know, canon within the story that we see on Dynamite.
Word.
So yeah, that was fun. So the next match was the Casino Battle Royale, which was also pretty fun. It was a little bit forgettable. I thought it was good at least like leading up to the end. I think, you know, it was a little bit, there was some surprising early exits that I was a little.
I think it was a good story for a battle royale.
Mhm.
Battle royales can get a little jumbled and confusing, but I think that they finally figured out a better format for the battle royale.
Yes.
Everybody entrance music, and then introducing 5 people at a time,
Right.
and then getting that that spurt of new people into the ring to mix things up, and then the storyline pretty much for this battle royale was Matt Hardy trying to use Private Party to strong arm his way through the battle royale.
Well, and also, and Christian versus Team Taz was kind of like probably the A story, I would say.
Yeah, for the first part of it, and then the other main storyline was Christian's performance in the battle royale.
Mhm.
Could he go the distance? And then they had interjected, that early storyline that we've had before of Jungle Boy in battle royales,
Mhm.
and we finally got a payoff to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but yeah, he kind of like he kind of was like a mini Kofi Kingston, I guess, in a way. He was always like doing impressive stuff in battle royals, and everyone was kind of like, well, why doesn't he win one then? And
MJF
so,
cheated him out of the last battle royale
right.
for the Dynamite Diamonds, if memory serves.
Yeah.
So this is one with actual real stakes, and it's good to see Jungle Boy taking the brass ring,
Definitely.
getting his title shot versus Kenny.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's interesting that Kenny's AEW competitors for his belts have been the newer talent,
Yeah, and I think that's the way to go. Like that's what you want to do. You want to kind of elevate these guys that are gonna have to be carrying the torch, 5, 10, 20 years from now. And so, yeah, giving Jungle Boy a shot, like this is exactly the right time in his career to be doing that, because he was a guy that I wasn't like super high on, maybe a year ago, and have really turned around on him. He has great psychology. He does great like hope spots. He does great little like fire ups in situations where he's outnumbered and the odds are against him. He really thrives in those moments, and it's really cool to see him getting elevated to this spot. Even though we kind of all know that he's not going to win the championship or anything like that, but it was really cool to see. And like, yeah, the whole end of this battle royale was really well done. From we got Leo Rush, which in retrospect is a little bit sad, but it was cool that he got that moment, and it was fun, and I was very excited to see him do some more stuff in AEW, but sadly was not to be. But he's probably one of my most underrated wrestlers. And we got the Christian and Team Taz stuff. We got some really awesome tandem offense from Christian Cage and Jungle Boy. And I remember thinking immediately at the time, like, man, we need to get these guys in a tag team. And the next thing you know, on the next episode of Dynamite, they faced off together against Private Party and had a really good match. And we also got from that, I can't remember if this was in the Battle Royal too, actually, that Matt Hardy attacked Christian Cage after that tag match, and that it looks like they're kind of starting a little bit of a Matt Hardy Christian Cage feud, which doesn't seem like the best way in theory to use your veterans, but honestly, I'm super down for this. Like, I would love to see, especially in their current incarnations of big money Matt and outwork everyone Christian. They couldn't be more diametrically opposed right now, and I think that would really work well.
I think it makes sense because the Hardys got his, his stable. I think it makes sense if Christian needs to draft in some help from some young people to help him, match it. Because I would love to see a 3-for-3 match with them. We already had Blood and Guts, but something in that vein too would be, obviously amazing, a hardcore match.
Yeah, I mean, and they're supposedly the trios titles are coming soon, so that would be a great way to get him some, get him with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, maybe even, or something.
Or Marco Stunt.
Or Marco Stunt.
Like Christian.
BTE champ, new BTE champ, Marco Stunt, the only shoot champion in wrestling is Marco Stunt.
You would have never thought he'd win a basketball competition, and yet
I know, right?
You couldn't book it better.
It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the animal.
His first challenger to the BTE championship should be Big Show.
That would be great. That would be great. What would their okay, we don't want to go on a tangent, but yeah, that would be pretty hilarious.
They have to play something like with like little figures, like Monopoly or something.
Yeah.
You have to move little things around.
Yeah, totally. So one. Sorry.
Wasn't there also like a confrontation with we got a confrontation with Kenny and Jungle Boy?
We did, yeah. Yeah, we got oh man, there's been so many dynamites, but yeah, there was an in-ring confrontation where Jungle Boy just didn't really say much. He just kind of, let his actions
Jungle Boy said nothing. Kenny Omega talked a bunch, and then Jungle Boy tried to say as coolly as possible, "You talk too much," which incensed Kenny Omega more than disrespecting his mother. And then
think he would take that as a compliment.
And then they had a little dust up in the ring. I thought it was weird that Jungle Boy is just wearing like a black shirt and black track pants. Like,
I guess he wasn't scheduled. He wasn't scheduled to wrestle.
Like, I'm not saying you have to be in a loincloth all the time.
Yeah.
But your name is Jungle Boy. Like, wear some floral shirts, wear some floral shorts, put on one of your own t-shirts you're selling. Like,
yeah,
in the main event with Kenny Omega, like, this is your chance to sell a shirt.
Right.
Put on a Jungle Boy shirt.
That would make sense. Yeah, it's a little WWE, but I kind of like the fact that not every guy like has to wear his shirt. Like, it's not like company policy the way it is in WWE, where everybody wears their shirt, their newest shirt, the one that's like just on sale. But yeah, that does make sense in that situation. I think I agree with what you're saying there.
I thought it was just weird, and that segment was like, I think it was like pre-recorded, like there wasn't a full crowd. So it just already had a strange vibe because of that.
Yeah.
So like every little thing was like throwing me off of it. So I just wish Jungle Boy had that, like, like Kenny has a very polished, now that he's champion, out of the ring persona, costume, in-ring persona, costume. Cody has that. Miro even has that to a degree.
Right.
I think Jungle Boy's with the big dogs now. He's gotta get in that big dog mindset.
Yeah, he does. He did look a little nondescript. That's fair. So yeah, Casino Battle Royale was a lot of fun. We did not get an appearance from Andrade like we all expected, but we did get an appearance on Dynamite from not only Andrade, but also a debuting Mark Henry, which was pretty fun. And he definitely left the door open to one more match. So that's an interesting little tidbit as well. But Andrade is in AEW. Andrade is all elite now. So that's very exciting. It was a little bit of a weird segment though. Like they sent Vicky out there to like, rile up the crowd. And she riled up the crowd so much that like you could barely hear her announce that Andrade was here. And so there was this moment where the crowd was like, wait, did she just say Alito? They're like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah, I think it was done. I think the whole way that it was all like laid out just felt backwards. Like
Yeah.
after they introduced him like that and Vicky butchered his name or
Well,
whatever.
and she interrupted Mark Henry to make that announcement. So it was all jumbled together.
And then at the same time as she did that, like one Dynamite later, the person she usually represents, Nyla Rose, interrupts Britt Baker. It was just weird. Like for a second when Vicky came out, I thought it was gonna be, oh my god, are we gonna get Nyla Rose versus Mark Henry? Like, are we gonna get the Native Beast versus the World's Strongest Man?
Oh my god.
And I don't know. I would have preferred if it was one of the Spanish announcers to do it, or they did a promo video that was just Andrade putting on a suit and tie. And I would have preferred that to him even coming out.
That was that was the video. I don't know if it was the next week they showed that exact video. That would have been a great way to introduce him and have it up on the screen so people react to it. That would have been great.
It was a week late, and that should have been the first thing you saw.
Yeah. That's I agree.
And Andrade was all right, but he didn't really make a big splash. I think interrupting Mark Henry on his first appearance, I guess it's a good spot because people were tuning in to see Mark Henry talk.
Yeah.
But I think you learn with AEW Dynamite, never tune in to watch anyone talk. Because when they build someone to talk, they will get interrupted by something else.
That is a true fact, yes. Yeah.
That happens every week. I've figured it out. I'm on to you, Tony Khan.
Yeah, I don't know who knew what about what was ultimately going to happen with Lio Rush, but I can't help thinking, like, Andrade debuting in the spot where we all expected him would have been a better debut than this. Like, the crowd would have gone apeshit for him being the wild card. And it would have been better than what we got, I think. And also your idea would have been better too. I think just that video of him putting on the suit would have been a great reveal.
Yeah. But he's all elite now, and we will see.
He is very excited to see what they do with him. Moving on to American things, we have Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Gogo, which it was, this was probably, if there was a low point to the show, this was probably it, just in terms of, like, I'm not exactly sure why Cody needed to get the win here, but on some level, it also does make sense that a seasoned veteran like Cody would beat Anthony Ogogo in his second match ever. And also, Ogogo looked amazing in his second match ever. And so, he lost to experience, so I'm good with that. And it was more or less what it needed to be, even though it's not exactly what I would have booked. it did its job. So I can't complain too much about that.
Gogo looked very impressive. I don't quite get why the gut shot over like a knockout punch.
Well,
That's his finisher.
that's
Like-
he's an Olympic boxer and he's done that to people in real life. That's why they made that his finish, because he's literally.
I just feel like I'm a layman. I hear someone's a boxer. Oh, they must be there to knock someone out. Yeah.
Right.
That's what I think. So I don't know if you're getting the gut shot over when in the first minutes of the match, Cody takes the gut shot, Cody kicks out of the gut shot.
Well, Cody's Cody, you know, that's, I mean, he's put down a lot of people with that gut shot. I think it's, you know, there's so many like former boxer wrestlers whose finisher is, and non-boxer wrestlers whose finisher is a punch to the face. So this is kind of, you know, a different direction, which I think is kind of cool. You like fold them up with a gut shot. And you know, he's made some people bleed from the mouth with it and stuff, and I think it's been effective.
Yeah, that Colton bleeding from the mouth, that was cool. But I'm just saying that Cody's not putting it over when he kicks out of it, when they use it in the first minute of the match and it doesn't debilitate him.
I mean, Cody's Cody, you know, like I think the fact that he did it early in the match, you know, if he had hit the gut shot like 10, 15 minutes in and Cody kicked out, I would say, okay, that's kind of messed up. But to hit it that early, you know, Cody's not a jobber. If you can just punch him in the gut in the first minute and beat him. So I think it makes sense, and he still sold it. You know, I feel like he still put over that it was pretty debilitating. He just, you know, he was able to kick out of it.
I really liked the match. I thought it was a totally different, like, it felt like a whole different universe of wrestling on AEW, and I'm all there for it. There wasn't a tope suicida.
Right.
It was just a totally different vibe of match, and I'm extremely interested in more matches in this style, just to mix up what's on the card.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of been Cody's calling card since AEW started. He's like the guy who does the classic 80s style wrestling and does it so incredibly well. I mean, I just was talking about his match with his brother. You know, he had a couple of great matches with Darby Allin. He had that great match with Shawn Spears at the beginning. And you know, a lot of those really great like 80s style matches. And he hasn't been getting featured as much because he's been doing a lot of like putting the young talent over. And now they kind of have this young talent who is a big deal enough that they can put him and Cody in like a pay-per-view match. And it was definitely a change of pace. I also really liked the story they told of everyone was wondering, you know, Anthony Ogogo's only had one match. Can he actually wrestle as opposed to just like punching people in the stomach and pinning them? And we got a really good, you know, we got an answer to that. He looked great. He could really wrestle, and he proved himself in that match. And that was a really cool little story that they kind of added into it, which I think really made it resonate, and I think could easily lead to, in the near future, an Anthony Ogogo babyface run, because he is like incredibly likable, both as a character and as a human being. So I would love to see that.
Yeah, and I think that the faction war of the Factory versus the Nightmare Family, I think still works, and I like the way that they have built off after Double or Nothing with the bull rope match between Nick Comrado and Dustin, and the tag match with Aaron Solo and QT Marshall versus
I think it was a Gogo and QT
Gogo and QT, sorry.
against Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson. That was a really good match too.
Yeah.
Got to see another little, a little bit of Lee Johnson. Anytime we get to see Lee Johnson on TV is great. He deserves as many showcase spots as possible. He is awesome. And also, great news for me and Steven. We're going to get to see live and in person Cody versus QT in a strap match at AEW Road Rager in Miami, Florida. Very excited.
Didn't Cody have that like crazy promo at the Bash at the Beach when we saw him last time live?
Yeah, he did. Yes. And he was, I think it was for a strap match with him and MJF, no?
I think so. But now it's going to be him versus QT Marshall.
That's going to be really good. Those are both, that's going to be another one of those like 80s style NWA classic, a strap match is already, but with Cody and QT, they're both very much in that style. And, we got the bull rope match was also very 80s NWA as well. So that was a lot of fun too.
Do you think that's the main event?
Cody and QT, it's the first announced match for the show. So obviously it's the one they want to promote the longest. So it seems like it would probably be, if it's not, then the main event is going to be something special, because that would be a great main event.
Yep. We shall see.
We shall see. Next up, we got Miro versus Lance Archer, which, I don't know how much we can really say about this, except that it was fucking super fun, hoss fight. It was everything we wanted it to be. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Miro is just fantastic on the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
His cuts to Jake the Snake have been just fantastic. Lance Archer, it's amazing how much he always overwhelms my imagination as to what I think he's capable of. And he's fantastic. He needs a belt. He needs a tag.
He really does. Absolutely. I would love to see him be part of a trio that wins the inaugural trios title.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of in like babyface Lance Archer mode.
We are, yeah. He hasn't, it's not explicit. Like, he's still the same person. He's just going after people that we don't like as opposed to people that we do like.
Nobody has died in a while. So
I know, right? Yeah. I gotta say, I always miss a little bit the old New Japan Archer that would come out and just deck all of the young lions in the face before his match during his entrance. It was hilarious. But yeah, it was a really good, really great hoss fight. It was actually, I expected this to be really, really competitive, and it was. And then Miro just like went into another gear and just destroyed Archer, which I thought was an interesting booking choice to like really establish this guy as the monster of all monsters. And Archer kind of gets left looking a little bit second tier to some extent, but still, he's still Lance Archer. I don't think it hurts him too much He's just so cool in general. Like it's hard not to love Lance Archer right now. But I was a little bit surprised by that decision to just have him just really decisively win the match after, it wasn't that long. I don't know how long it was, but it wasn't very long.
It felt like the right amount of time. It felt appropriate.
I think so too. Yeah. I was surprised that he so decisively won. Instead of like surviving,
This is the reign of Miro.
Yeah, it really they're really pushing him. They're pushing him the way all the fanboys have been yelling at them to push him ever since he got here, and like wasn't immediately dominating everybody. Like, how dare they build his character before unleashing him on the roster? But I digress. Next up, we've got Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida in a AEW Women's Championship match, which I think we all pretty much knew how this one was going to go. This was a really great match. I was a little weirded out that the crowd was kind of weirdly silent during this match, and I felt like to some extent it threw Britt and Shida off a little bit because there were a couple kind of awkward moments in the course of the match, but for the most part, this was a really good match. And, we got the beginning of the era of DMD, so I'm very excited for that.
I think one of the things we have to like remember now is that, the crowds have, like they get tired after hot matches, and, you kind of need to put sort of something a little less exciting in between exciting things to sort of give the crowd a chance to warm back up again.
Well, they didn't have anything like that on this show.
And the problem is Double or Nothing, the show was so stacked with amazing matches that, there's no real room to take a rest and just chill.
Yeah, it's true. It might have been not the worst idea in the world to have some sort of like non-wrestling segment to break things up a little bit at some point. I don't know where, maybe after, maybe after Miro and Archer, or maybe after Cody and Gogo. Just have something, some sort of, entertainment. I know everybody hates the word entertainment now, but it's an important part of what we do here in professional wrestling. I'm a fucking no, what you know what I mean.
What do we do about professional wrestling? Yes.
Yeah. And so like the crowd wasn't quiet for long because well, let's not get to that yet because we have a little bit more to cover with the aftermath of Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida, which is that it appears that Nyla might be the next challenger. Got this really great segment where Britt Baker was, because they had I forgot about this. They were having all these like, look under your seat. There's a free T-shirt or whatever. And Britt Baker went out there. It was like, she had just been given like some sort of thing, like McDonald's like donated like 10,000 hamburgers or Big Macs or whatever to Britt Baker. I can't remember if that's the amount or not, but and she like, tells everybody like, look under your chair. There's a coupon for a free. And then she's like, no, not really. She fucking like trolled everybody. And then Nyla Rose flipped the plate of burgers and stormed off. So it seems like we're gonna get Britt and Nyla pretty soon. That should be fun.
Nyla, former champion. It makes sense. I think, like I said before, I think it would have played better if Vicky hadn't already interrupted, in the segment she interrupted for Andrade.
Yeah.
Because her and Vicky like stormed off and made comments through the burger party that they ruined.
Right.
Um,
But it does make sense in the sense of, Nyla's a former champion, hasn't really done a lot for a while. Now she's got Vicky, you want there to be some sort of, sign, visible sign that this is benefiting Nyla, right? So having her get a title shot, like you can say, oh, since Vicky came in, now she's, getting title shots. So it's benefiting her somehow, which, it's the same kind of concept with like factions. If a faction is benefiting everybody in it, then it's for the best. If it's not, maybe not so much. But I've always felt like all the factions, with very few exceptions, in AEW do really benefit everybody in them quite a lot.
I'm curious to see whether DMD can go the distance that Shida did in her year-long title reign.
It would be really cool to see Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida again next year at Double or Nothing. That would be pretty cool.
I'd be down for that.
So getting back to the crowd was definitely very much revived for our next match, which was Darby Allin and Sting versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, which was a lot of fun. And, Sting looked as good as you could possibly expect him to look. And it's not even really a complaint, but like we got all of this storytelling between Darby Allin and Ethan Page. Like we only got it like from the hype episode, not even Dynamite. It was like a Road to, not really a Road to, but like it was the same sort of concept. They showed it on TNT, but they only showed like a half-hour version of it. There was like a 40-something minute version of it on YouTube that was way better. And it showed a lot of the history between Darby Allin and Ethan Page, that Ethan Page like fractured Darby's skull, and they have all this history on the indies. And it really made you feel in the match the sort of drama and history and, hatred between these two guys. There was that great spot where they were kind of both being held back and both like gouging each other's eyes at the same time. That was really, really hot and dramatic. And I would have loved to have more of that story be told on TV leading up to this match. And we only got this little bit of it, and it added so much. I can only imagine how much it would have added if we would have gotten more of that.
I thought it was a fantastic match. I really liked this whole storyline builds with them throwing Darby down the stairs.
Yeah.
And now them playing, mind games with Darby Allin, trying to make him shed off Sting. I like Ethan Page a lot. I think
Ethan Page is great.
Good addition to All Elite.
Very good.
I love Scorpio Sky in the ring. I am over Scorpio Sky's heel promos.
I know.
He's always the first one to talk in the promo, and it never comes off like somebody who's genuinely mad at somebody.
Yeah. No, it really doesn't. He always seems like really cool and smooth, even when he's trying to be like angry and bitter. He just sounds like chill and, but, it doesn't help that he's standing next to heel extraordinaire in Ethan Page. But yeah, I have also been not impressed at all with Scorpio Sky's heel promos. And I don't know what you do about that other than maybe just let Ethan Page do most of the talking. Also, the fact that Scorpio Sky talks first is probably for the best, because if he tried to talk after Ethan Page, he would look even worse. So that's probably for the best. But I agree. Yeah, I don't know what you do with Scorpio Sky in terms of hopefully he'll get better at the heel promos as we go, but we haven't I feel like we haven't really seen a lot of progress.
At this point, I just want him to like get a catchphrase and like insert that catchphrase into the end of the promo,
Yeah.
and that's your contribution.
Yeah.
You know?
So they've been working this angle of trying to get him to break off from Sting. So I think they've been setting up a I don't know if it's this week maybe that he's doing the handicap match. Darby is against Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, which is kind of great because it's the most Sting move. It's like there's a running joke in wrestling of being Sting stupid, which is like trusting people way too much and also doing really stupid shit to be honorable. And this is like right in that second one, just being like, I'm just going to take both guys on because they insulted my honor, saying that I need Sting or whatever. And I'm just going to, and Sting got it immediately. He was like, okay, I get it. Yeah. You like fist bump. I won't be there. And
Tell me you don't need me there. I won't be there.
Right. And it's great that he of all people understands being that stupid in this situation. So that should be really interesting to see what they do, like the how they book that match. Because Darby Allin is probably going to have a moment in that match where he should have won, but something will happen. Some kind of cheating will take place. So that should be a lot of fun.
And I really like that vibe that they pulled off with Sting, where he's like Darby Allin's cool big brother.
Yeah. Or his emo dad, as Miro says.
I don't see it dad. I see it like he's a cool big brother. He's like, he's going to lend me the car so that I can drag my body bag. He's going to give me cool tips.
Right.
Put on my paints. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that goes further down. I'm also interested to see if those storylines are still going on for Road Rager. So
yeah,
it'd be great to see any of the four of them, live in Miami.
I would love to see it culminate in a Darby Allin, Ethan Page singles match. Like, I want to see more of that feud that you kind of teased, this history between these guys, not you, Steven, but you, AEW, kind of tease this history and this drama between these guys. And I want to see more of that. I want to see them go one-on-one in like an intense, like a hardcore match, or I don't know what, some kind of like raise the stakes kind of match to really like, I don't know if you want to put to bed their feud or if you want to just keep it going, but you could do any of those things. So I really want to see that. So it should be interesting to see where it goes.
Get on it, Tony Khan.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Next up, we have our first main event, I guess is what they were calling it. The AEW World Heavyweight Championship match between Kenny Omega, Pac, and Orange Cassidy. This was also pretty close to match of the night and also match of the year sort of shortlist material. This was an amazing match. I don't remember a ton about it other than it was just really well paced. It was really well timed. The guys have amazing chemistry together. There was a lot of great spots, not just wrestling spots, but like psychological and storytelling spots of, like the Kenny going for the snapdragon off the top rope, and Orange Cassidy blocks it by putting his hands in his pockets. That was a lot of fun. So this was a really, really great match.
Yeah, all the Orange Cassidy spots in the match were just pitch perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The finish, I think, was done extremely well. The crowd getting to chant "Fuck you, Don," for pulling the ref out on Orange Cassidy's championship counts. And then them later, taking that footage and re-editing it,
Yes.
making it say "Thank you, Don" was really funny.
No, and also the subtitles when he was talking with the referee, and the referee's like, "I'm trying to cheat. What are you doing?"
That was very funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious. So they have this whole idea that there's this conspiracy to get the belt off of Kenny.
And I think the commentators did a very good job of reminding us of the history between Kenny Omega and Pac.
Yeah.
And, adding that story element into the match.
Right.
And Pac is just such a badass. He is, viable for any championship, anywhere, anytime.
I keep saying, like, Pac to me might be the best pure wrestler on the planet. Like, I every time I watch him wrestle, he's just so crisp. He never misses. Like, everything he does, like at least 95% of the time, everything he does is crisp and accurate and just looks amazing and looks exactly the way it's supposed to, and that's incredibly impressive. And he does it every time. He's just so consistent with it. Like, anytime he wrestles, it's going to be a great match because he's just so good at what he does. And so, yeah. And so, and we got some really good, teasing of Orange Cassidy could have won this match and stuff like that. And we also, I think, and on subsequent Dynamites, they've given some indications that, things between Orange Cassidy and Kenny Omega aren't over, which should be really interesting to see. I think they can definitely go in a trios direction if they wanted to, with the best friends, maybe. The best friends have to be considered one of the favorites for being the first trios champs. And you have to imagine, like, you could probably also see, Kenny and the Good Brothers maybe being a trio, and Kenny kind of trying to collect another belt to get under his belt, so to speak. So yeah, there's a lot going on and a lot of potential. And now, Pac now is taken out. The Young Bucks just took him out. So I'm really interested to see where Death Triangle goes from here, because Phoenix has been taken out, Pac has been taken out, and now all we have left is this sort of tenuous alliance between Penta and Eddie Kingston. So I'm really interested to see where that goes, and like why the Young Bucks keep attacking members of Death Triangle for whatever reason. Like, why is that their target?
That's who's in their crosshairs. Those are their.
I guess so.
The Young Bucks have taken on the Lucha Brothers, a lot, a great many times.
Definitely.
And they have a paper.
And they have the match with Penta and Pac.
Yeah.
So, a lot of possibilities, I think, with all of that, which is great. And it's kind of AEW's MO is like they leave a lot of possibilities open, and they think long term. I'm amazed when people say that AEW doesn't think about long term booking, because they're constantly thinking about, from my perspective at least, they're constantly thinking long term. So I love that about AEW.
Yeah. It was a good match. I like a good triple threat match for a championship.
Definitely.
What do we got next?
And last but not least, we have Stadium Stampede. This was
The
a lot of
debut,
fun.
aka the debut of the new and improved biker inner circle,
Yeah,
the biker variant costumes.
that was fun. Yeah,
So
this was a really fun match. It was, not everything landed exactly the way they hoped, I think. I definitely had a mini heart attack when they were all rappelling down from the scoreboard. Had a little Owen Hart moment there, and was just a little terrified that something was going to happen. But nothing happened. Everything, went down safe and sound. So
yeah,
the match was a lot of fun and had a lot of fun spots, a lot of funny spots. There's a lot of great stuff between Sammy Guevara and Sean Spears. There was a lot of great stuff between Jericho and MJF. Put him through that little structure in the upper deck, which was really cool. Sammy got to redeem himself. The FTR and Santana and Ortiz got to have a little bar fight. That was pretty fun. And Wardlow and Hager had some really great stuff too, like going through a wall, I think, at one point, and a lot of cool, fun stuff between them. They have the MMA match coming up this week, coming up tomorrow.
woo.
Should be really. I'm really interested to see how that goes because I wouldn't think they would do that unless both of these guys were fully capable of carrying a match like this. That both guys were. I mean, we obviously know that Hager's trained in MMA, but I don't know that we know that much about any training that Wardlow might have had in MMA. But I have to assume that he has to have had some if they're doing this match. So I'm really interested to see how that goes and how these guys look in and how it's booked.
Yeah, that's gonna be a difficult challenge in how do you pull off a worked MMA fight,
Right.
I really like the Stadium Stampede. Jericho did a whole behind the scenes podcast with the Inner Circle talking about doing the Stadium Stampede and coming up with ideas for it. And originally someone had pitched that, what if a helicopter takes us to the field and then we rappel down the helicopter? And Jericho was like, hell no, I ain't rappelling down the helicopter. You guys can come down the helicopter and then the helicopter will lower and let me walk off of it. How about that? And then
that would have been hilarious, actually.
And then they were like, no helicopters. However, the mascot of the Jaguars games does some rappelling off of the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided they could do the rappelling off of the scoreboard. And they said the scariest part was getting up there.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to go up all these stairs and then you go up a ladder that straight up to that point.
Oh my God.
Without any safety equipment.
Right, yeah.
You're just climbing up a ladder in the middle of the air. You fall, you're dead.
Right, yeah.
And Jericho had his arm in that sleeve, in that sling.
So, yeah.
So his touch was limited on one side.
Oh my God.
So he was just sweating. And then you get to the top of the rappelling point you have to get to, and then you have to wait for everybody else to get strapped in. So they said just the waiting is just the worst thing in the world. They were staring at that point in the distance, trying not to look down.
Oh my God, that sounds terrifying.
It sounds very terrifying.
I was just sat down,
yeah. I thought it was a weird intro with, MJF coming out with an empty limo to distract them.
Right.
I just, for MJF being like this master tactician
Right.
and planner, I just thought it was, really the lamest plan.
This is a terrible plan.
Like, it was drawn on chalk somewhere.
Yeah.
I really liked the Sammy Guevara. Why do I want to call him
Sean Spears.
Sean Spears? I was trying not to say the perfect 10. I really like their back and forth. I like that they made their fight look like a video game fight.
Right.
With the lighting and then all the chairs. And I like how they set up that, Sammy was tied down and had to cut himself loose.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was genius to bring the Stampede into the live crowd and finish in the ring where everyone could see it. So I thought that was, a move of genius.
That was very cool.
And I thought it's really awesome to see this progression that, Sammy Guevara was in the very first match of AEW Dynamite. And
that's right.
Is getting the big final pinfall at the end of, the biggest pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I think they've definitely done a great job of building his character up, and he's done a great job of, being just so fearless with his body.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, he's one of a handful of guys that has come the furthest, I think, since the beginning of AEW. He was one of those guys that not many people really, the diehards, the indie fans that make up so much of AEW's audience knew who he was, but a lot of us didn't. And everybody knows who he is now. He's still got room to grow. He's still got, there's a lot potentially in his future, including gold. I think at some point he's gonna, if he doesn't have a belt sometime in the next year, even, I would be kind of surprised, because he's come so far and he's so over right now.
Yeah.
So.
And the Inner Circle storyline is progressing with, more matches between the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. It seems that they're not ready yet to turn off the gas, just like the Factory versus Nightmare Family feuds. These feuds are still ongoing and are still creating interesting matchups.
I like what they've done with the Inner Circle Pinnacle feud in terms of breaking everybody off into these sort of individual feuds with each other. Makes for some interesting matchups and keeps the feud going without having a million different 5-on-5 matches in a row. And the same with the Factory and the Nightmare Family haven't had a single team match yet. It seems like they're saving that, or they're not planning on doing it at all. They're just planning on having it be more this individuals versus individuals kind of thing, which I think is a really cool way of doing it and makes for a lot of fresh matchups, which is always good.
With all the factions in AEW, I would love to see them have a pay-per-view where it's just like a faction tournament,
Yeah.
and every faction has a team, and then they see who the top faction in the company is.
Right. Yeah, kind of like WWE does with Survivor Series, except not Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT or whatever. But just like all the factions just like have, one-on-one matchups, tag team matchups, trio matchups, different combinations and stuff like that. and you can kind of end it even with a big faction team match of some kind or something.
Whoever's team gets the most wins gets to be in the 5-on-5 at the end or something.
Oh yeah, that could be good. Yeah.
Come on, Tony Khan, call us up. Call the Vindicast.
Yeah, man, we should be booking this stuff.
The Pinnacle, I think that it was they got the win at Blood and Guts.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're sort of even with the Inner Circle. I don't think they lost too much of an edge by losing Stadium Stampede.
Sure. Yeah.
So overall, I'm happy with the way they're being treated.
Yeah, you'd have to think at some point there will be likely some sort of rubber match of some kind. Hopefully, a little further down the line after we play out some of these individual matchups a little bit.
Yeah.
That's it.
That we need to cover?
I think that's all that I could think of for each sort of match and storyline, following it. I can't think of anything else. That's all I have in my notes.
The only thing I think we have left to talk about is that if you have a vehicle on AEW that's designated to you or your faction, be it a limousine, be it a tour bus, it will be desecrated. Okay? There's no glory in putting your logo on anything. It'll get desecrated on television.
Also, shout out to Santana for spray painting El Barto on the limousine. That was great.
Yeah. That was dope. This has been the Vundacast. I think we really have to come up with like a name for the AEW coverage. Like,
I think so too, yeah.
Whether this is like the wick or something, to the Dynamite. I don't know.
The fuse.
The
fuse.
The fuse. Okay, that might work. The fuse.
Yeah. Fuse and wick are just kind of two different things.
Light the fuse. Oh, we're the fuse. I like that. Okay.
Well, that's like the song, right? Light the fuse.
Exactly. You can tweet us at Vundacast or at Vundablog. Our podcast is available on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and on YouTube at our page Vundacast Productions. We are on the road to our 200th episode, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a Trials of the Trivia extravaganza.
Very excited. Can't wait. Trials of Trivia, one of my all-time favorite games to play in the world. So should be fun.
I have been your host, Steven. They have been your hosts, D-Rock.
Yay. Pronouns.
Woo. Remember, kids, have a happy Pride Month, and make sure that you keep Don Callis away from any sanctioned title match, because he is not going to let it go smoothly.
Be gay, do crimes.
Hail Thunder.
Hail Thunder.
Vundacast? Give it up for Vundacast, man. What an adorable name.
You're listening to the Vundacast.
What's up, everybody? This is Jason David Frank, Green Ranger. You're listening to Vundacast.
subscribe to the Wundercast.